You know exactly what's happening. Excuses do not erase the facts. He hides behind them. He has always done that. You hope that change will come. You justify his words. He promises that he will improve, but nothing changes. He ignores reality. You try to understand. The pattern repeats itself. This is not a phase, it is a cycle. And what you identify as hope, in fact, is a trap. His protection is based on justifications, not actions. And you, in turn, remain. You adapt your expectations to what he offers, just to ensure a bit of stability. But this is not love. It is wear and tear. When someone values you, they act. When someone respects you, they uphold you. Empty words only serve to create noise. Every time you seek meaning, he only reinforces the failures. The bond exists solely because you sustain it, not because it is strong, but because you hesitate to cut it off. If you have to beg for consistency, then this is not a relationship. And standing still is also a decision. The fact is that excuses won't save anyone. The cost is yours. As long as you remain available, the scenario remains unchanged. For him, reality has already been presented. You have already gone through the cycle many times. The routine is etched in your mind. Every action, every word, every silence. There is a disturbing comfort in this pattern. You know you can recite the script. He disappears, reappears, promises, and doesn't fulfill. It is an empty theater, but you have become the habitual audience, and now observe a new dimension. Fear is a character in this story. The fear of leaving, the fear of the unknown, the fear that his absence will bring loneliness. You love this idea of connection, but the reality is that it has become a burden, a weight that drags on, and you are no longer sure if it is worth carrying. Anxiety takes over, and you ask yourself, what if I'm wrong? Doubt seeps in like poison. It makes you believe that maybe he can change, that maybe, just maybe, things could be different. But what you don't realize is that this illusion is your prison. The price for staying in this narrative is high, and you keep paying. He watches you from the shadows. He knows you hesitate to take action. He's gotten used to it. Your weaknesses are the energy that sustains him. And when you silently scream for help, he just hides behind more empty promises. This is not love, this is manipulation. Think about it. When was the last time he really made an effort? When was the last time you received anything other than disjointed words? Your vision is limited to what he presents. You exchange moments of fleeting happiness for promises that fade away. And this exchange is not without cost. You offer yourself while he takes away. You hope that love will be enough, but there's a fine line between love and dependency. The idea that you need him to be complete is the rope that ties your hands. Without realizing it, you have become an accomplice to your own pain. When someone cares, they act. And he is not acting. He's just watching you fight a lonely battle. The decisions you don't make keep him comfortable, because for him, everything stays the same. You can change the scene or the play, but the plot remains. Make sure you understand this. The time you spend waiting for transformation is wasted time. He will never care the way you want him to, and this desire for change only feeds the inertia. When the other does not respond, the truth is that you are already fighting for a love that doesn't exist, a love that has turned into a distant echo. Not all battles are yours to fight, and allowing him to make you believe that you are responsible for the absence of change is an old strategy. You no longer need to carry this. What can you do? Responsibility begins with you. There are no saviors here. There are no miraculous changes waiting for you at the end of the road. The return you seek does not come from him. It comes from you. Understand this clearly. This bond remains because you do not cut it. The emotional wear and tear is the result of a cycle where you accept less than you deserve, and that by itself should be enough. Choosing to stay is accepting mediocrity, and you don't need that. What will you do from now on? The decision is in your hands. What you need to understand is that to change the outcome, you need to change the actions. Change will not come from him, and you already know that. If you want a different ending, you need to start writing a new chapter, and if you end up feeling lost, remember this. The starting point is to recognize the situation as it is. Love should not be a constant sacrifice. This love that you consider true is a shadow that obscures your vision. It's time to face reality. What you need is not another sign. You already have the necessary information. Now it's up to you to decide. What will you do when you realize that the cycle cannot be broken by anyone but yourself? Do not wait for an epiphany. This decision needs to be firm, and the steps must be taken with conviction. The cost is yours. Reality has already been presented. When you stop deceiving yourself, real possibilities begin to emerge, and only then can you chart a new path. One that does not depend on empty promises and illusions. A choice that does not lead you to perpetuate pain. This is the moment to act. The time to wait is over. When you finally shed the comfortable cloak of illusion, what remains is a chilly perplexity. The truth stands naked before you. It is disconcerting to realize that the pieces were always in place, but you chose not to see. Every word he spoke, every gesture, was merely a reflection of what he wanted you to believe. It was a theater where you played your role with dedication. Loneliness is not only his absence, it is the echo of your own voice that never had a chance. You settled into this false narrative, seeking in each breath a way to validate your hopes. Meanwhile, time marches on, indifferent to your waiting. Hours turn into days and days into months. The routine becomes an invisible prison, molding itself to the limits of your tolerance. And now, what to do when reality comes knocking, and your response is a deafening silence? The pain is palpable, but what frightens most is the prospect of facing the truth without the filter of emotional comfort. You imagined there was love there. But love doesn't dissolve in broken promises or the repetition of destructive patterns. Love demands presence. It demands action. You always believed you could save him, that your attempts at change could break the cycle. You nurtured the hope that one day he would look into your eyes and see the pain he caused. But the truth is, he does not see. He ignores. And this ignoring reflects how invisible you have become to yourself. Notice how you felt looking in the mirror and seeing someone you no longer recognize. A face marked by doubt, by the fatigue of waiting. You got lost in the nuances of a relationship that never truly existed, and now asking yourself, who am I without him, is a shock that reverberates. These questions do not have easy answers. The emotional labyrinth you entered is tortuous. You built walls around what should have been a free space, the freedom to love, to be loved, to be genuinely you. Now, these walls are barriers, isolating and suffocating, and you realize that deep down you're afraid to leave. Because, after all, the familiarity of pain is less frightening than the unknown. However, in this same labyrinth, there are echoes of a forgotten strength. A part of you still believes in the possibility of starting over, but that belief needs to be redirected. The power to change must become yours again. Look at the mirror one more time. See the person you really are, without the layers of expectation and disillusionment. Only you can define who deserves your affection, your energy. The choice to remain cannot be made under the pressure of a pattern that has already proven to be harmful. The fear of being alone is the poison that paralyzes your choices. The voice that whispers that you are not enough only echoes because you allowed it to have space. Breathe. Breathe deeply. Feel the new reality beginning to make sense. You are not alone. You never were. The deepest connection you can find is the one with yourself. Reward yourself with self-love, even if it seems like an abstract concept. Instead of sacrificing yourself for someone else's expectation, start building a solid foundation for yourself. Look around. The world keeps turning, lives keep flowing. Other stories are being written, other connections are blossoming, and you can be a part of it as long as you decide to leave behind what no longer serves you. What may seem like a loss is actually a gain of authenticity, of courage, of self-responsibility. By moving away from known pain, you make room for something new and unexpected. This choice may be scary, but remember, fear is often the harbinger of change, and those who have the courage to face their fears are the ones who manage to rewrite their stories. Now you must ask the fundamental question: what do you really want? What feeds your spirit? Do not let inertia keep you imprisoned. Every moment you hesitate is a wasted moment. Time is your ally, and you need to use it to your advantage. Reflect on what you want for the future. Draw up plans that do not depend on the actions of others. Cultivate vision and clarity. You are responsible for the seeds you plant in your own emotional garden. The time has come to decide whether you will continue nurturing what no longer grows. If what you see around you does not bring joy, it is time to allow new seeds to be sown. In the fertile soil of your own determination, the reality has already been presented. The cycle can be broken by no one but you, and now that the truth has been revealed, begin writing the new story. This is your life. You deserve to live it fully. As you become aware of what needs to change, a new sensation starts to emerge, a mix of fear and empowerment. It is disconcerting to realize that this power has always been within you, merely covered by layers of doubt and conformity. Look closer. Every tear shed was a drop in an ocean of resignation. You sank in the quest for validation from someone who never saw you. Now the tide begins to change. What once seemed like a deep abyss now reveals itself as a path of possibilities. Think of the times when you remained silent to avoid conflict, averted your gaze to not confront uncomfortable truths. Conformity wove the chains that imprisoned you. You settled into a role you did not choose. Now these roles need to be torn apart, but before breaking with the past, it is vital to recognize the pain it brought. It is not about ignoring your wounds, but accepting them as part of the process. They bear witness to your resilience. Every scar tells a story that does not need to be repeated. You can feel your heart's quickened beat as you contemplate the future. This is normal. The future is unknown and intimidating. However, the unknown is also where true freedom resides, where you can reinvent yourself without the shadows of what was. As you reflect on what you want, visualize new spaces, not just physically, but emotionally. Imagine yourself surrounded by people who recognize your worth, who offer genuine support, not empty words. A new circle of influence. A safe space where your voice echoes and is heard. Loneliness is often seen as a burden, but it can turn into a powerful ally. In moments of silence, you find clarity. Solitude allows you to dive into the depths of your essence, far from distractions and manipulations. When you are alone, who you truly are begins to shine. It's time to reevaluate your expectations. The expectations you built on unfulfilled promises and fleeting gestures. Love does not exist only in words. It must be demonstrated through consistent actions. If you hoped he would change, perhaps it is time to accept that the changes must start with you. This acceptance does not mean that you failed. On the contrary, it means that you are finally ready to honor yourself. To recognize that what matters is not the amount of love you give, but the quality of the love you offer yourself. And that involves conscious choices. Each time you remember your strength, each time you refuse inertia, a part of you is set free. It's an internal struggle, yes, but it is a struggle worth fighting. Remember, what you seek outside often already resides within you. Change is not just an external act, it is an internal transformation. When dealing with what you feel, avoid the temptation to cling to the idea that it is your fault. This narrative only perpetuates the pain. You are not responsible for the failures of others. Each individual carries their own capabilities and limitations. He chose not to see. You chose to wait. Now the cycle needs to be cut. And do you know the best part? The moment to act has arrived. You don't need permission to live the life you want. You don't need external approval to feel worthy. By embracing your potential, you discover new facets of yourself that were dormant. Focus on the small victories. Every step you take towards something that satisfies you is an affirmation of who you are. By distancing yourself from the familiar, you may be surprised by what you find. New passions, new connections that resonate with your authenticity, and a new narrative that unfolds. You might think that this change is scary. And it can be, but it's also liberating. Freeing yourself from what no longer serves is like pulling out a weed that consumes the energy of the garden you wish to cultivate. Growth requires space. The space you are about to create is sacred. And then, when you look back, you will not see a past of failures, but a journey of learning. Every mistake, every error, every disappointment transforms into a brick on the path that leads to your truth. The reality has already been presented. Now, the choice is yours. You can remain in the shadows or decide to shine brightly. A path full of uncertainties, yes, but also promises you never dared to dream of. It's time to stop writing chapters of pain and start sketching a new story, a story that reflects the fullness of what you deserve. Life is short, and every day that passes is a lost opportunity if you hesitate. Do not let fear dictate your actions. Face what lies ahead, and consciously choose who you want to be from now on.